Hi guys, so for this video, I'm going to talk about whether or not it's worth switching to keyboard and mouse. I made a video just like this around 9 months ago where I listed the pros and cons of each input device. The thing about that video though was aim assist was really busted back then. This was the time when linear aim assist had just came out and controller players were dominating every event. It literally got so bad that Epic had to nerf aim assist all across the board. Rip Unknown Army's career. Seriously though, ever since then, a lot has changed. We've gotten new shotguns, new POIs, new mechanics. The entire in-game meta has shifted. Therefore, it only makes sense to circle back to the question we answered then: should you switch to keyboard and mouse? Oh wait, I have to end my intro the normal itsJerian way. Without further ado, let's get right on into it. One of the main reasons I wanted to make this video, outside of the numerous DMs I get from you guys, was the fact that 100 Thieves Arkhram just switched over to controller. In case you don't follow competitive Fortnite, Arkhram is one of the best Fortnite players of all time. He double qualified for the World Cup, won the FNCS Solo Invitational, won the Trio FNCS Grand Finals, and has over $1 million in earnings. Say what you want about NA West, the fact of the matter is, Arkhram is a top-tier keyboard and mouse player. Well, at least he was up until a month ago. This was when he fully decided to switch from keyboard and mouse to controller. Taking a quick step back, switching from keyboard and mouse to controller used to be pretty much unheard of. The only pros that ever swapped inputs were usually controller players that went to keyboard and mouse. That's how Unknown got washed, by the way. Then, I think around the end of Chapter 2 Season 1, this trend actually turned the other way. Rather than controller players swapping inputs, keyboard and mouse players started moving over to controller. EpikWhale made the switch, OwlFN did as well, former World Cup qualifier Left Eye did. Aim assist was insanely strong at this time, so everyone decided to switch to controller. Back to Arkham's switch though, he was the first major keyboard and mouse pro to make the switch in months. In fact, pretty much all the pros that originally swapped, they all ended up going back to keyboard and mouse at the end of Chapter 2 Season 3. Those linear aim assist nerfs really hit hard. So if all of these pro players that had originally swapped over to controller actually gone back to keyboard and mouse, you kind of want to ask yourself, why the heck would Arkhram switch? Did Epic revert those original changes? Did the meta just randomly start favoring controller players again? According to Arkhram himself, he went over to controller because it is superior and it has aimbot. Please don't flame me. Remember, those are his words, not mine. Now, one last thing before I go and break down controller versus keyboard and mouse, I just want to put it out there. I do not think aim assist is aimbot. I know I make jokes about it on social media. I'll probably keep making them throughout this video and after it. Just for the record, I do not think aim assist is overpowered. Anyways, with all of that out of the way, and hopefully all the controller players removing their dislike on this video, don't do that. Let's talk about what a controller actually offers that a keyboard and mouse does not. Up first, we have 360-degree movement. Movement is one of the most underrated mechanics in Fortnite. I believe movement alone is what separates a good fighter from a god fighter. Like, just think about it. When you play on controller, you have full omnidirectional movement. You can run at a 30-degree angle, you can run at a 60-degree angle, you can even run at a 69-degree angle for the memes. Keyboard and mouse players, on the other hand, they are limited to 8 different directions. Forwards, backwards, to the right, to the left, and then any combination of those, forwards to the right, forwards to the left, etc.
But Jerian, what the heck does that have to do with fighting?
A lot, little Timmy, a lot. Not only can you maintain vision on your opponent and gain information as you run sideways on controller, but you can also establish piece control at the same time. Right now, I want you to think about the best piece controllers in the world. It could be a pro, it could be a content creator, it could even be me. No, but really, think about the player with the best piece control. I can almost guarantee you just thought of a controller player. I know that because I just thought of Reet and Slight. The two of those guys are both controller scrimmers who have mastered their movement. They're able to weave in and out of their opponent's builds, maintaining pressure on them and boxing them like fish. Plus, even if you didn't think about a controller player, maybe you're from EU, you thought about Noah Rayleigh or Vidil, you can't deny that controller movement is still unattainable on keyboard and mouse. Sure, we have the wooden keyboard which can make you run sideways. We used to have double movement keybinds, rest in peace. However, neither of those things will ever be as good as controller movement. They just won't. So, since there's nothing that keyboard and mouse players can do to get to the same level of proficiency and mastery regarding their movement, compared to controller players that is, I award 1 point to controller scrimmers. Next benefit of controller, something that a lot of people actually overlook, is optimal keybinds. Keyboard and mouse players like myself, we spend hours trying to find the most efficient building and editing keybinds for our specific setup. Most people seem to know from me that you want your building keybinds off WASD, that way you have full control of your movement as you build and edit. Unfortunately though, it is really not that easy. The majority of keyboard and mouse players, including myself, we will never have 100% optimal keybinds. There's just not enough buttons on your keyboard or your mouse to make it that way. Oppositely, controller players have it much easier. The majority of top tier controller players, they never have to take their fingers off their thumbstick, meaning they always have optimal binds. And yes, I do know that a lot of them either have to use paddles or claw for that, but that's just something keyboard and mouse players don't have. Additionally, this only adds to the benefit of 360-degree movement. These controller scribas are running sideways, piece controlling you up without ever having to move their finger off their thumbstick. Low-key, that reason alone makes me want to switch myself. Third benefit, another small one, is controller-only editing and building sensitivities. I don't think you guys understand how much I love a separate building and editing sense. It would allow me to play on a low hipfire sense to hit my shots, while also playing on a high building and editing sense, that way my mechanics don't look slow. Us keyboard and mouse players, we have to aim, build, and edit all on the same exact sense. Sure, we can move our wrists or arms around really fast, or even just change our DPI as we build or edit. Again though, that is not a real solution. Controller is up 3-0. The last and final benefit controller has over keyboard and mouse is aim assist. Bias aside, aim assist is really strong. I get controller players need it. Trust me, I played on controller my whole life. I even started playing Fortnite on controller. Nonetheless, aim assist is a huge benefit that only controller players, and I guess mobile players, they have it too. It's only afforded to them. If you look at the top performers in most solo cash cups, they're pretty much always controller players. You can make the argument this is because their piece control is better. I literally just talked about this in relation to their movement and their keybinds, but in my opinion, I think aim assist is the biggest contributor. Aim assist removes any sort of human error while aiming. That doesn't mean controller players have aimbot. I said before, they don't have aimbot, they're not cheating. What it does mean though is that the game does help aim for them. That's what aim assist is. It is a program in the game that helps controller players hit shots due to the fact that they use thumbsticks. For all the keyboard and mouse players watching, I want you guys to think about how many shots you just completely whiff. I'm talking you miss so badly that your crosshair is like across the screen. You don't even know how it got there. Personally, that happens a lot. I'm not gonna pretend it doesn't. Because we use our arms and or our wrists to aim, we have the ability to completely miss shots and look like idiots. Top tier controller players, however, they don't really share this to the same degree. Before you say anything, obviously controller players can still miss shots. I'm not saying they can't. Just like with anything, not every controller player is going to have godlike aim. Don't lie though, when you watch the top tier controller players like Reet, Miro, Day, their aim is ridiculously consistent. And to me, that's why they're so good at fighting. They're not afraid to jump inside boxes and take 50-50 fights. They don't even need shotguns half the time since they can win aim duels against keyboard and mouse players just with their ARs. Thus, while I did say this does not apply to every controller player, it is 100% a fact at the top level. The top level is what we care about. 4-0 controller players. Moving on to keyboard and mouse benefits, I kind of mentioned them already. Regardless, I'm going to go through them a little bit quicker since they are more straightforward. For example, keyboard and mouse players have much more keybinds regarding their inventory and just in general. Keyboard and mouse players can instantly swap to different weapons, they can pull out different build pieces, they have a lot more customization when it comes to keybinds. Second up, keyboard and mouse players have scroll wheel reset. No matter how fast you reset on controller, I've seen some pretty darn fast controller editors in creative. Scroll wheel reset is far superior. This time difference alone gives keyboard and mouse players a lot more versatility while making defensive and offensive plays. We can block shots that controller players can't, and at the same time, make edit plays that controller players also cannot. Well, at least controller players that aren't cheating. Third benefit, this time more mouse related, is what I'll call precision aiming. Mice are just way more accurate than thumbsticks. You have much more control due to the higher range of motion. As controller players say, keyboard and mouse players can use their whole arm or wrist to aim. This is true. That's not to say that aiming on keyboard and mouse is easier. I don't think anyone can argue that hitting shots is easier on keyboard and mouse. You just cannot deny that you have much more control and precision. Lastly, to tie up the tally at 4-4, keyboard and mouse players have a higher skill ceiling. This point is honestly kind of wrapped up in the other ones. Like we just said, higher precision, more keybinds for your inventory and builds. All of those when combined go into this final point of a higher skill ceiling. Like theoretically, if you had a player that never missed any shots, they never missed any edits, they would be better and have more playmaking opportunities on keyboard and mouse. mouse. In reality, however, that's not really what happens. So I guess the way I could put it is that the skill ceiling for keyboard and mouse players is higher. However, it's not as easy to reach. Now, to finish off the video, I'm just gonna say it. No, it is not worth switching to controller. I think why Arkhram actually switched was that he was bored, he wanted a new challenge, he wanted a reason to grind the game. Arkhram is also part of the best trio on West. He knows he will do really well no matter what input he's on, so why not have some fun with it? Lastly, if he really ends up sucking, which he won't, he could just switch back to keyboard and mouse like nothing ever happened and continue to dominate. The only time I would recommend switching to controller, or when I would have, was back when EpikWhale switched in Chapter 2 Season 2 and when I first made that video 9 months ago. That was a really weird time because linear was busted, drum guns were in the game, it was basically the best controller meta possible. In my opinion, both controller and keyboard and mouse players can succeed. Oh, and that actually reminds me of the main question, should you switch from controller to keyboard and mouse? Once more, my answer is no. Unless you're really bored of Fortnite, you're not having fun, or you just suck on controller like I did, there's no real reason to switch inputs. Both controller and keyboard and mouse players can do well and become pros. I promise you that staying on one input is gonna do you a lot better than continuously switching. Just ask Unknown Army. He's washed. Overall, guys, those are my thoughts on whether or not you should switch to keyboard and mouse or controller. So if you enjoyed the video or you learned something new, do be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel somewhere down here, and to turn on my post notifications. Shout out to everyone using code JERIAN. I appreciate each and every one of you. Remember that in February, all the supported creators got reset. If you use code JERIAN, put it in again. Otherwise, that's it from me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later!